Hi, Minka. A two-part question for you. One, do you expect them to move you around a little bit more in the defense? But two, a lot of stars in other sports who are accustomed to fan adulation said they're having some issues with being motivated without fans. How do you anticipate that working out for you guys, you in particular, if there are no fans at a game?
To answer your first question, no, I don't really see myself moving around a whole lot. I think last year we were successful with what we did. I don't really see any need for change. We might switch it up a little bit, whatever. But I don't see my role changing too much. Besides just mastering what I've been doing and making plays. To answer the second question, no, I don't think there's any. For me personally, I don't think there'll be any lack of motivation because uh, I go out there. I'm a competitor, so I'm gonna go out there and compete at a high level, no matter what the circumstance or condition may be. We are gonna miss the fans, and it will be different, like going out there and not playing with them or playing with however many people in the stands. But for me, I know I'm gonna be motivated, just as much, if not more, because I know that it's a different environment. Other people might need that, little spark, whatever. So if I got to be a little bit more vocal, if I got to be a little bit more on fire for my teammates, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Mike Pizzuto, DVE.
Minkah, we're seeing the typical give and take in practice between the offense and the defense. You guys had a pretty good night the other night. They've made their share of plays.
What
Without
practice you been
preseason
watching?
games, what will tell you? The ones where they catch the ball.
Yeah.
What'll tell
That
you the
means every
defense is ready
practice you can catch the ball.
without preseason games?
What was the question?
What will tell you that your defense is ready without having any preseason games? What do you want to see between now and the Giants game?
I think when you're ready when there's not a lot of mental errors out there, not a lot of lack of communication. When everybody's flying to the ball, there's no big plays or big mistakes happening, stuff like that. Because that's what defense is, especially with our defense. The only times we get beat is when we mess up. There's not too many times where the corners aren't going to win 50-50 balls. They usually win those. There's not too many times where TJ or Bud aren't going to win a rush. The only time that big plays happen on us is when we make a mistake. You know what I'm saying? In the offense, the type of offense that we have, knowing Ben and everybody out there, they're going to take advantage of it. I don't know if it's been give and take the last couple of practices, but y'all are entitled to your own opinion and whatnot.
Joe Rudder, Trib.
I know it's a different situation because of coronavirus, but what's these practices been like compared to what you did the last 2 years when you're in Miami? More hitting, less hitting? You getting more work than you thought, less work? How's that going?
Practice-wise, it's not too much different than any regular camp. I think the rules on hitting are a little bit different, but we're tackling when we can. We're hitting when we can. We're getting just as much reps. I think it's like staggered now, but we're getting just as much reps as we would in a normal camp. So it's not too much different. Obviously, logistics and setup and stuff like that is different, but nothing's really different when it comes to just playing football and going out there for practice.
Aditi Kinkobala, NFL Network.
Hey, Minkah, now that you've had the full off season with this defense, how do you see your role changing in any way, and how much input do you have? Like, do you go to TA and say, I want to do this, or I want to do that, or we as a secondary should do this?
It really hasn't been a full off season because we didn't have OTAs. We just had the last couple of weeks of camp, but these last couple of weeks. I don't see my role changing too much. I'm gonna go out there, do my job, do what I do best. And when it comes to input, not really. You could ask, but there's not really a point. We're playing well as a defense. We're communicating well as a defense. I'm doing my job well. I might ask for other responsibilities, you know what I'm saying, but I'm not gonna ask unless I really see a need for me to expand my role. But right now, I don't see that.
Will Graves, Associated Press.
Minkah, when you look back and evaluate last season, what bothered you when you looked at film? What ticked you off? What did you look at and say, man, I gotta clean that up going into 2020?
Personally, or just as a team?
Just you personally, your own self-evaluation.
I don't think there's anything that was like super glaring to me. There was some plays where something I worked on this offseason was just coming out of my playing lower, so with more bend, especially when I'm playing like in the middle of the field or in the half. Because I don't want to have to when I try and come out of a break, I don't want that to bend and then come out the break. I want to just be able to play low and come out the break. And with that, my breaks are going to be sharper. It's going to be less rounded breaks, so it's going to be easier for me to get to the ball. Tackles are going to be cleaner, stuff like that. So it's kind of like a trickle effect of just playing lower will affect a lot of different parts of my game.
Dale Lawley, DK Pittsburgh Sports.
Hey, Minkah, I just wondered what you think of the guys on the depth chart at the safety position beyond yourself and Terrell. Who's standing out there for you?
I think everybody's having a pretty solid camp. Curtis just came in and he's doing a good job. He's making plays and he's an experienced guy. Antoine, same thing, young guy, but he's out there, communicating, trying to learn every single day, asking questions to the older guys, needing extra time, stuff like that. Danger, same thing. He's a guy that's out there, knows what to do. He's not gonna make any mistakes. So I think I can't really say anybody's standing out, but they're all doing their job and getting it done.
Mark Cavalli, The Athletic.
Hey, Minkah, are you guys on defense under the belief that your offense can help you guys out this year where you might not have to force 30-plus turnovers and 50-some sacks?
We still want to do that as a defense because, last year we had a lot of injuries and whatnot, and we were down. But if we could do that same thing, with Big Ben back and all the other guys back making plays, I think, we'll be an even better team. Last year we were a good team, and we were missing some weapons on offense. So if we could still play to that same tempo and create the amount of turnovers and sacks and stuff that we did, I think we're going to be a great team. So I think even though we do have those guys back, we still want to do what we did last year, if not even better.
Brooke Pryor, ESPN.
Hey, Minkah, I saw at practice last week you and Benny had a pretty spirited discussion after you tackled him on a play. How intense is practice in some of these battles that you get into with guys like Benny or some of the receivers? I mean, just from your perspective, how intense does it get, and how much does that help knowing that you guys don't have a preseason to kind of get that out?
Yeah, one thing that I really wanted to bring into this camp, and I didn't really know how it was going to be because it's my first camp with them. But one thing I really wanted to bring into this camp was that competitive nature. I wanted to make it a really competitive environment where you weren't going to be able to get away with, going half speed or not giving somebody your all. Because say if on that play with Benny, I was just cruising and he would have stiff armed me like that, I wouldn't have been ready for it. But I knew what Benny was coming with, so I had to, approach it the same exact way. So I think it's just an iron sharpen iron type environment. It's definitely beneficial for everybody because if everybody's just cruising and floating around out there, nobody's getting better. But everybody's out there flying around, giving it 110. We get chippy with each other because we're all the alpha type mentality and competitors. So we're not gonna just turn over for anybody. So it gets chippy and at the end of the day, we all have respect for each other because we're teammates. We're all wearing the same colors, but it's definitely a competitive environment, and we're all definitely getting better because of it.
Jim Wexel, 24/7 Sports.
Okay, Minkah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a safety, retired or otherwise? You got me, Minkah?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a safety that retired or otherwise that you admire, study, emulate, maybe, and why?
Yeah, there's a couple dudes. Ed Reed was a guy that I really liked. This offseason I broke down a lot of his film. He was an athlete, but he also was an intellectual when it came to the game. He did a lot of things to, bait quarterbacks. He did a lot of things to, just learn the game. And with that, he was able to make plays that normal safety wouldn't be able to make. So Ed Reed was a guy. Brian Dawkins, I just loved the way that he played, the energy that he played with, the passion that he played with. I'm about to start breaking down some Glover Quinn film from Detroit. He's a really good safety that a lot of people have told me about that I should watch. So I'm going to start breaking him down sometime soon.
Jeff Hawthorne, 93.7.
Hey, Minkah, Tom Bradley was saying earlier today about how he wants you in that role at center field and how key that is. What about your attributes or your mindset or both make you good in that position?
I think you want somebody back there that is, one, can cover ground, which I believe I do well. A guy that, knows what everybody in front of him is doing, because when you do that, it allows you to play fast back there. It allows you just to react and not have to rely on, too much thinking. I think it relies on, it's a guy that you're the safety, the last line of defense. So you're not going to let things, fly over your head and, let balls slip out the backfield or the running back slip out the backfield and make big plays. You're a guy that's going to keep everything in front of him, not going to let the ball go over your head, but you're also going to be, aggressive. You're not just going to let everybody catch up everything in front of you. You're going to make plays in front of you while also not letting the ball get behind you. So I think it's a combination of a couple different things.
Great. Time for three more. Tim Benz, Trib.
Minkah, I was curious about your answer to Jerry's first question there about the decision maybe not to have you move around or change your role a ton going into the season. That seemed to be a point of interest of yours earlier in the offseason and maybe of the teams too. Can you expand on why you might keep things more the same?
It worked last year.
And you're happy with that? You're okay with that?
Yeah, I was happy with All-Pro and Pro Bowl. Yes, sir.
do you think that if you look back at many of the interceptions you created and caused, they were kind of targeting other players anyways. Was that part of the discussion that was determined that you can still make an impact from back there, regardless of whether –
part of being a successful safety, I had mentioned Ed Reed earlier, is just being in the right position. If you watch a lot of Ed Reed's tape, a lot of his tape is just him being in the right position and balls being tipped to him, forcing fumbles, taking the right angles. Because a lot of guys, if you're lazy back there, don't pay attention to a lot of the details of the game. But one little step off, and Ed Reed is going to make that play. One little step against the Rams last year, and I'm 2 inches off from catching the ball. And closing the game. So it's a game of details back there, and it's really just about being, because there's times where there's drops. Or you don't make a lot of plays, but you still have to be in the right position, because we make plays as safeties that just by being in the right position. The ball, we might not get the pick, we might not get the pass breakup, but simply by being in the right position and making a quarterback not throw to a certain area, making a receiver, taking away a receiver out the game, we make a lot of plays. So everybody loves the big splash plays and the interceptions and the forced fumbles and stuff like that. But as an elite safety or great safety, you do a lot of unknown things, and one of them is being in the right position. So as long as I'm keep being in the right position and practicing the right way, then I'm going to keep making plays.
All right. We actually have to get out of this room, so we only have time for one more right now. It's going to go Brian Batco. Go Gazette.
Hey, Minkah. Yeah, you just mentioned how this is your first camp here, and really it's your first extended practice time with the Steelers, period, since you came over during last season and didn't have the off season that you normally would. So how beneficial has this process been for you with your chemistry with Steve and especially Joe, who it seems like has really kind of taken you under his wing since you got here?
It's been good. We all, honestly, we had a really good chemistry last year. I think because I was forced into it, I had to approach it in a head first, way. And if I didn't go into it that way, and if Joe and Steve and TE didn't coach me up the way that we did, the way that they did, then we wouldn't have had the success that we had. So I think it's beneficial having this off season with them, but I think last year we established really good chemistry. We established real good communication, which is really important between corners and nickels and safeties. So this year we're just putting a stamp on it, improving the little details. Now we're communicating without even communicating. Just a little look and stuff like that is enough now. So it's definitely good. Still learning as you're playing with people, how they think and whatnot. But I think we have a great chemistry, and we're just making it even better during this camp.
Hey, Tom. Last year,
how are you?
Good, Tom. Thank you. Last year, Minkah was the best free safety in football. You kept him deep most of the time. Why would you consider moving him around more this year?
I don't think we will consider moving him around more. I think we like that combination where he is back there. We do bring him into the box at times just to make sure our tendencies, we can change up on them, but we like him where he is right at free safety.
All righty, let's go to Jerry Dulac. Jerry, go ahead.
Morning, Coach.
Morning, Jerry. No golf today?
No, later. So keep the session short.
Keep it short? Okay, I got you. I'll keep it short. All right.
How big an opportunity is this, Coach, for Marcus Allen? I mean, is this an important year for him?
I think it's a big year for Marcus, and he's taking advantage of a lot of different things. And one thing, he's playing a lot faster this year. You can tell he really understands the system. He's very versatile. We can do a lot of different things with him in our package. And so I think this camp has been a really Marcus has really come on strong during this camp.
Thanks, Coach.
All righty, let's go to Brooke Pryor. Brooke, go ahead.
Hey, Tom, going back to Minkah, I mean, how much better can he be after what he showed you guys last year? He was already, like Ed said, the best free safety in football, but just how high is his ceiling after a year of working with him?
Well, I think one of the things is if you watch him practice every day, he's one of those guys that strives to get better every day. He's not satisfied, and he's always looking for those little edges, and you watch how he goes about his day-to-day business, his work ethic, when he's on the field, when he's off the field, the way he conditions his body. I mean, he's a guy that's a consummate professional and always working to get better. So there's a lot of room for improvement, and he knows that too.
Hey, Tom, back to my other question. If the Steelers have often switched their safeties back and forth, in the box, out back deep, it didn't matter who was there, or you'd go side to side. Is it Minkah's unique talent to play free safety the reason that you say he's going to stay there?
Yeah, we do move him around. I mean, formations are going to dictate a lot of different things that we do with him. But one of the things you always try to do in football is get your guys in the position that they do their best things. And one of the things he does where he's really good is in playing center field and being around the ball and doing all those things. So, we do have the capability to move him, Ed, put him in different spots. A lot of times, as I said, formations will dictate that, motions, adjustments, but, we'd like to keep him in center field.
All righty, let's move to Teresa Varley. Teresa, go ahead if you're on.
Good morning, Tom. How you doing?
Good, Teresa. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Talking about Minkah, just his development, the way he came in last year, you did say the sky's the limit for a guy like this, but what does he bring from a leadership standpoint, even though he's a young guy in that secondary and you do have other guys that are veterans as well?
Well, the one thing about him, he brings a lot of confidence into that secondary, the way he plays and goes about his day-to-day business. So, he came in there last year. He got a little bit later after a few games, but he's very comfortable now being around the players, and I think you'll see him continue to take a greater leadership role as we progress through this season.
All right, everybody, just a reminder, use the raise the hand function, and we'll go back to Jerry Dulac. Jerry, go ahead.
Oh, Coach, you didn't hear that. I said, I'm sorry. What do you think of Curtis Riley, your new pickup? What have you seen from him so far, and can he help you from a depth standpoint?
Yeah, I think Curtis can help us from a depth standpoint. He's one of the guys that each day has shown a little bit more and more, and we're getting excited about him as we continue through this process. Watching him, one of the things that's difficult, obviously, about this preseason is the fact that, we don't have the game simulations. So we're, through drill work and things of that nature, we've got to try to simulate as best we can how we're going to play. But he's been impressive so far in camp, and we're looking forward to see how we can keep this thing going for the next few weeks.
All right. We'll move on to Mark Caboli. Mark, go ahead.
Hey, Tom. How you doing?
Morning, Mark. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Hey, I know last training camp, Cam Sutton was pretty dynamic for, the entire month. But it seems like it's hard for you to try to find him a spot on the field on a consistent basis. Is that the only thing holding him back right now? Maybe trying to find him a spot where he can play more than maybe 200 snaps?
Well, I think the thing about Cam that, he is a guy that, in our eyes, is very valuable because he can do all the different things. He plays safety, he plays corner, he plays nickel, he can play dime. He plays all over the place, and that's a guy that's good to have on your team because he's like putty. We can put him anywhere, and he does a heck of a job and knows what he's doing. So we look at Cam as a very valuable tool to this defense.
All right, thank you. Brian Bacco. Brian, go ahead.
Hey, Tom, I guess I'll stick with this theme of asking you about some specific players. Marcus Allen, what are you seeing in his development, his progression, and how much of it is maybe tied to his ability to do some different things, play some different roles in sub packages for you guys as one of those hybrid type players with linebacker size maybe, but still some safety skills?
Yeah, they're very valuable, as you know, in football today, especially with the way the different packages come in on offense. A guy that can get in the box, Marcus can play in space. He's really developed. He's been one of the guys that this preseason has really come forward with his game. He's playing faster. He understands what we're doing, and because of that, we're going to be able to do a lot of different things with Marcus. And I think through the rest of this preseason, we're going to kind of figure out what he can do and what he can't do as these next couple weeks progress.
All right, I got time for a couple more. Let's go to Mike Brazuta. Mike, go ahead.
Hey, Tom. Terrell Austin was talking a little bit recently about maybe moving Minkah Fitzpatrick around to try to counter teams avoiding him. Who else do you have that can play center field, and what defines a guy that can do that?
Well, I think, we have a few guys who can play center field, and we work on that with different people doing it. What defines it is, the space out there is different, as with what you're doing and what you're seeing is very unique to that position. We do have guys that do work back in center field, and we try to, continue to make sure that we have guys that will be able to do that. So it's just not Minkah back there. And it's one of the things as we develop players, we've got to be able to make sure that they have the knowledge of playing there.
All right, we got time for one more. We'll go to Jenna Harner. Jenna, go ahead.
Hey, Tom, I know this is kind of a simplistic question in nature, but just what excites you the most about this group that you have here?
I think the one thing that excites me is the way they play together as a team. It's a very selfless group out there, and the way that they work each and every day when they come out to get better. It's really a fun group to coach, and it's a fun group to watch play so far on defense this preseason.